Today I'll be talking about fashion business macro trends and fashion technology for 2022-2023. My name is Kasia Gola and I have 10 years of experience in the fashion industry, especially in fashion tech. I am the founder at Go Chic and industry advisor at Wearable, where I'm responsible for implementing virtual try-on in the fashion industry. At Go Chic, I build a fashion community, but also analyze fashion tech trends. I am specialized in digital fashion, wearable technology, and new business models in fashion. This presentation is the result of my 10 years of experience in the fashion industry. At that time, awareness of the need to use technology in the fashion industry grew, but still not much is changing, and since the Industrial Revolution we have been creating fashion in the same way. Yet due to sociological, political and technological changes, the industry needs to and will change. And recently we've been witnessing tremendous changes. First due to pandemic, then war in Ukraine. Starting from the war in Ukraine, of course, without a doubt, the most important thing is the course of the war and humanitarian aid itself. However, the impact of the war on the economy cannot be underestimated. The fashion industry has never been immune to war. Important historical events affect the functioning of the fashion industry. During the Second World War, some brands suspended operations, as Coco Chanel did. Others changed the style they promoted themselves. In the past, wars also influenced the emancipation of women and change in the way they dress. Today, we could call it a change in consumption. Economic losses resulting from the war also affect inflation and recession, not to mention gas and food prices, and hence shifting consumer attention to basic necessities, not fashion. More expensive food might result in a food crisis in development countries, but also higher prices in Europe. These are some of the reasons why we are nearing recession and consumers will be less fashion-centric and fashion industry growth will slow down. The other factor which influenced fashion was global pandemic, which has highlighted the issues in the fashion industry, such as broken supply chain. The winners of the pandemic are companies which invested in tech and were agile enough to adapt to new lockdown rules and somewhat change their business models. In fact, the big tech companies were able to break new records on stock markets, and after a short breakdown in March 2020, stocks as S&P 500 grew rapidly, breaking new records just 6 months after. As a result, the pandemic has made the rich richer. Since technology companies are such an important part of the fashion industry, ruling in retail and marketing, fashion businesses can't be blind to these changes. The industry has been traditional for years. The role of fashion and the way it's produced and marketed did not change for years. In fact, not much has changed since the Industrial Revolution. Fashion is also playing the same role in our lives as it has been playing for many years. It protects us from nature, distinguishes from nature, is an indicator of belonging, of individuality, is a manifesto and aesthetic phenomenon. It's a sign of the times and a showcase of culture. Even though the medium age in Europe is 42 years old, fashion is currently widely marketed to Gen Z as the youngest cohort that can afford to make consumption choices. One of the ways to reach the hearts and wallets of Generation Z is to answer at least one microtrend, or in other words, the issue that is important to them. One of these problems is sustainable fashion, and it illustrates the double standards partly created and intensified by social media. On one hand, sustainable fashion is gaining popularity largely thanks to Generation Z. On the other hand, we are consuming more and more clothes, and the profits of fashion brands are not decreasing. This is well illustrated by the statistics kept by Adobe. Year on year, online sales are growing. As a result of many years of growth, today we consume several hundred times more than 20 years ago. No wonder that the media popularity of sustainable fashion does not reflect the realities of consumption. The rise of ultra-fast fashion is in contradiction with the trend for conscious fashion. Sustainability is a very slow process, not only because of heavy consumption, but also because of the need of companies' transformation. In order to implement sustainable development, companies need to incur additional costs, shift focus from other areas of business, educate themselves, invest in talent, and overcome legal barriers. It can be achieved by production automatization, 3D knitting, used by companies like Patagonia, Uniqlo, Ministry of Supply. Initiatives like Loop by H&M, which automates upcycling in production. It can be upcycling like Converse Renew, or using carbon negative materials. It can also be vegan leather. It does not have carcinogenic compounds, its production uses less water, it reuses waste from other industries. These can be companies like Mekowork or Modern Meadow, which produces leather from artificially produced collagen. Using ecological dyes also has a more neutral impact on the environment. And finally, well-optimized e-commerce can really reduce the amount of CO2 produced by the fashion industry. Microtrends are highly disseminated by various social media and their market is highly diversified. The biggest player in the social media game is Meta, which owns Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram. The other owners of social media channels are companies such as Alphabet or Tencent. YouTube and Facebook are the most popular apps for smartphones in the US, and YouTube and Instagram are the most popular social media apps among American Gen Z. In Poland, TikTok is used by 24% of Gen Z and almost 10% of millennials. 51% of Polish Gen Z and 28% of Gen Y use YouTube at least once a day. In China, 65% of Gen Z uses WeChat. Different cohorts from different countries consume social media differently. Two things that users around the world have in common are the need of belonging, since millennials and Gen Z report feeling lonely, and the need to be someone special, using platforms to gain attention to them and their talents. Brands such as Converse and Antisocial Social Club meet this need through short drops or creating elite groups of ambassadors. Diversified social media also means different formats. Social media can be voice like in a Clubhouse or vertical video like TikTok. These new formats allow for more creative marketing or sales campaigns such as live stream commerce. It is the future of retail with $600 billion worth in China alone in 2023. We should also consider streaming platforms as new social media, especially apps like Spotify and Twitch. Originally, Twitch was a platform dedicated to the gaming industry, and it is growing every year. Top 10 gaming YouTubers are followed by more than 400 million subscribers. Gaming industry value is more than $300 billion, and it doesn't matter the age or gender. There are more than 2 billion players worldwide. Both fashion and tech companies see the potential in gaming and new social media formats. Microsoft owns Mojang, Apple is leading among gaming sales. A few years ago, Amazon acquired Twitch, Alphabet owns YouTube and Google Play, and Meta is pioneering in the XR industry. When it comes to fashion, Louis Vuitton collaborated with League of Legends and Fortnite, which also cooperated with Moncler. Gucci collaborated with Roblox and created Gucci Garden and Gucci Town. There are more and more interesting collaborations like that. Fashion and gaming is so mature that there are companies which specialize in creating fashion items for games. There is not far from gaming to XR, including augmented reality. Its market is rapidly growing. After the success of games like Harry Potter, Wizards Unite, and Pokemon Go, everyone is familiar with the technology, even if he or she does not know its name. Snap Incorporated created spectacles with which you can record snaps and even bring AR in front of your eyes. Similar project has been made by Meta and Ray-Ban. Meta also owns Oculus, which is a VR company. Many of us are using filters on Snapchat, Instagram, or effects on TikTok. Augmented reality can be creatively used not only as face filters. It can be linked to real locations or be a part of fashion campaigns like this Buffalo cooperation with the fabricant. The other example is Gucci's collab with Snapchat, which allowed to try on sneakers with an app. It generated almost 19 million unique reach. Gucci is one of the pioneers when it comes to using augmented reality and 3D technologies. For example, they have implemented virtual try-on for shoes also on their app. Talking about 3D technologies and digital items, right now digital fashion is a hot topic with virtual fitting solutions to lead its way. Pic-to-Fit by Reactive Reality allows users to scan their face and try on clothes on their realistic avatars. The Fabricant and Dressex are the most known companies to make digital items. They have many collaborations on their account. For example, the Fabricant made a project with Puma, or the collaboration with Buffalo, which I mentioned before. One of the companies which is aiming to bring digital experience to real users is Wearable, with which I work. Wearable offers digital try-ons for fashion and footwear. We have collaborated with brands such as Moliera 2 and Casadei, Marizeli, Forev and Robert Lewandowski. We implemented digital fashion in real e-commerce and mobile retail scenarios. NFT is one of the interesting visions for the future of digital fashion. Global spend on digital goods achieved $110 billion in 2021, and 30% of it went to fashion items. Fashion companies start to invest in it. For example, Nike acquired Artifact in 2021 and already introduced their first footwear NFT. The other example why digital fashion is becoming important is the rise of digital influencers. Avatars and digital models have become the new fashion frontiers who collaborate with more and more known and real fashion brands. And in the future, we will all have a chance to become similar influencers thanks to apps like Facemoji or Memoji. Looking from the business perspective and e-commerce, digital fashion is really influencing sales and return rate, and it is a chance for companies to make e-commerce more sustainable and optimized. That is why every major fashion player goes there. But 3D can also make production more sustainable. According to Dressex, production of digital fashion costs 97% of CO2 less than production of traditional fashion. 3D in fashion prototyping is shortening production creation time, reducing the amount of production waste and the amount of CO2 produced. It also gives the possibility of receiving feedback from customers and predicting interest in the product before its production. According to Cloud3D, while delivery time without use of 3D is 37 days and sample adoption is 15%, brands can achieve the same results with 3D in only 27 hours with 55% adoption rate. Seems pretty optimistic to me, but it shows a good trend. Neither sustainability nor business would achieve much without data. Data in fashion means business analytics, but also machine learning and so-called AI. According to McKinsey and the Business of Fashion report, 71% of consumers want companies to deliver personalized communication, and 76% are unhappy when it's not offered. But companies should use data also when it comes to deciding about the future of collections and designing them. Runway Palette is a tool which allows users to analyze colors of trends, and Tagwalk is basically Google for fashion trends. But hyper-personalization not only means custom offers, it is also a custom product. Starting from Google and Zalando's experimental project Muse, in which algorithms were generating digital garments based on basic information provided by users. Projects showed that algorithms can personalize fashion for us. Other interesting example in the machine learning and fashion area had been introduced by MIT's project group, How to Generate Almost Anything. In this project, algorithms designed fashion garments which were later created as real ones. Will algorithms take over fashion design? Probably not in the next years, but this concept will become more and more popular, especially in the age of digital fashion. Data is also important when it comes to the future of brick-and-mortar stores. According to the Business of Fashion and McKinsey report, 60% of European consumers still want to shop in stores. That means that 40% of them are ready for online shopping only. And that means that fashion brands should consider implementing new technologies to bring clients' attention to brick-and-mortar stores and connect data from online and offline. Maybe not for 2023, but for the farther future, brands will have to consider autonomous or partly autonomous stores. It can be something between Reformation's experimental store in San Francisco and Amazon Go stores. And the last topic that I want to discuss today is the wearables and how Thanks to them, fashion items will become technology and also will be connected with other industries. Wearables are smart devices that are worn on the skin. They detect and analyze body signals which allow for biofeedback to the wearer. Wearables can extend our sight, touch, or hear. All of the biggest tech companies invest in wearables. Google has its Android Wear OS, Facebook bought Oculus, and Apple has Apple Watch. There are also smaller players on the market such as Lumia or Wearable X. Thanks to wearable technology, fashion can be a message on a global scale. Wearables helps fashion to become a communication device, and in the future we won't have to use smartphones at all. Finally, wearable tech allows fashion to merge with other industries like health, education, or finance. The wearable market is constantly growing. So far, the most popular devices are smart watches and smartbands. But in the future, we will witness the rise of smart glasses and smart clothes. And the real success it will achieve when we won't see technology but only clothes and accessories. Fashion is becoming a new interface for tech and other industries. Thanks to that, the fashion industry can expand its business models and revenue streams. The fashion brands already see the potential of merging with other industries thanks to tech, and they invest in tech. Because after all, we all work in new technologies. Okay, so that was my short introduction to the near future of fashion. I really encourage you for further research. Hope you found this talk interesting. If so, please leave a thumb up. You can also subscribe to my channel if you are interested in the future of fashion tech. My name is Kasia Gola. Thanks for listening.